Good morning, everyone. It's the day after Thanksgiving. I took off the first part of the week because my kids were out of school, and I had them, all day. So we actually went up to Georgia, went to the Georgia Aquarium, which we were up there for the Trans Am race too. Kind of did a little work and play all in the same time, but got another video coming to show you how our Trans Am season ended up. But today we are going to start on the mullet project. All right, so this is going to start the videoing and the videos of working on mullet. And behind the scenes, there's been a lot of work, organizing which parts to get. I've been sciencing out some of the stuff for the fuel system. Believe it or not, there's been a pretty big disruption in some of the companies that I get parts from, probably because of COVID and shipping stuff, and we're going to use the crimp together fittings for all of the fuel system and the transmission and probably the intercooler stuff too, but some of that stuff has been out of stock. So you kind of figure out which parts you need, and then you go look up the part number for it, and then you're like, oh well, shoot, that's out of stock, so I can't use that. So then you might be able to match it with a different color fitting. Or so anyways, been trying to organize the parts to get, and today we're actually going to swap the cylinder heads on the engine. I mean, why are we taking the heads off of a brand new engine? Well, there was originally Texas Speed was going to do a square port headed LS for mullet, and then both Leroy and Ruby have the cathedral port cylinder heads on them, and to keep everything consistent between all the cars, it just makes more sense to have a cathedral port head on the mullet engine as well. Still make plenty of power, and I actually like the chamber design a little bit better when it comes to the cathedral style chambers compared to the square port stuff. So, but today, we're gonna get into this thing, start taking it apart. I'm just getting here this morning. Driving my girlfriend's Jeep. We kind of went and had some fun. Actually Thanksgiving night. Went and found some mud with some other Jeep friends. Went bombing around through the mud. I mean, for stock vehicles, these things are fun. Like, I haven't ever been into the Jeep life before, but heck, it's pretty fun. So let's get in the engine room and we'll get to work on this thing. All right, so we got some boxes from Texas Speed. Let's see what all we got in here. All right, it's got the fire ring gaskets in it, and a set of push rods. That's it in that box. All right, there's our 6-bolt heads. All right. Well, that's our cylinder heads out of the box. Not sure what that was. So a lot of times too, right on this edge where the deck meets the chamber, leaves a real sharp real sharp edge, and I just take a little tiny cut right there, and it takes that sharpness off. Anytime you've got a sharp edge in the chamber, I need to do around these too, it can lead to detonation. You know, when you really got one on edge, because the sharp corner is going to stay superheated more, or any sharp point, and that can lead to an actual an igniter, I guess you could call it. It's probably hard to see in the video, but it just takes it from being like razor sharp right on the corner to being a soft edge that you can run your finger over and it doesn't hurt anymore. Nice and smooth feeling. Which that one there is sharp. What the heck is that? It's weird. So anyways, we'll get the other heads off. Get the other heads off and start moving some springs around. What is that? Oh, it's this can.
Oh, it just popped out. Did you put it in the freezer?
I did.
It's about to explode all over everything.
It better not explode. You think it's going to explode?
Yes. That's the next step. It popped out everything.
Well, it's thawing now. You think it's expanding? Well, it's alright. So there's my noise. And it's actually leaking, I can hear.
It's about to explode.
Hope not.
Just keep doing that. Gosh!
That's funny that it expanded out after it's cooled. I'll put it in a box. If it explodes, it explodes. At least that way it's in a box.
Maybe I feel better. Was it popping during your video?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm filming and this thing, something goes in the background. What's that? Titanium, you cannot have any sliding action on it or it will wear the tip off of it. So you put this little cap on the tip of the valve, and that protects the tip of the valve. If none of you have ever seen how a cylinder head goes together or comes apart, I'll show you how I do it. This is actually a little adapter fixture I made, because this doesn't fit around the valves without hitting the rail, valve cover rail. So I machined this little adapter on my lathe, and then this goes and pushes on the head of the valve. The nice thing about this LS stuff, it's light enough you can take it apart by hand. Like I'm compressing the spring. By hand. Alright, so just for giggles, pretty nice looking double spring. What is very important with cylinder heads is to measure how tall the spring is when it is assembled into the engine. So this tool right here, valve spring micrometer, I believe is the correct name. You can see it's got marks on it, and then over here, basically the distance from there is, well, when it's all the way adjusted down there, it's 1.6 inches. Just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Each full turn is another 100 thousandths. I'm gonna see and write down what they had these set up, just for my own knowledge. So you put the keepers back in, pull that out, spin it to where you can see it. Looks like 1.810 on the intake valve. So you can kind of see, maybe you can see it in there. Yeah. So do the same with the exhaust valve. So I'm gonna measure this one, slide that in. Looks like 1.815. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is measure every single valve height for all of the cathedral port heads, make sure they are the heights that Texas Speed wants me to set it up as, which I'll call them Monday to verify that they want them set up the same, or if they want them set up different. If it's not the same setup height as the square port heads, what we will do is just add some shims underneath the spring to tighten up that setup height to get, you know, the spring compressed just the right amount for what we're looking for this camshaft. Some of the other things we're putting onto this engine while it's in here, we have a nice ATI super damper and Motion Raceworks set us up with this balancer. And it's got the option to run the fuel pump back here, which I'll clean all this up. I kind of think I'm not going to be able to make the pump work right there. So what I plan to do, and Motion's also been working on a new kit. And one thing I'm going to do while I have the cylinder head off too is I will install this balancer and make a pointer that actually shows me where top dead center is. You can see this balancer's got a nice, you know, laser etched timing marks on it. With LS's, it's usually not a problem, especially the 58X engines, to where the timing is different than what you're commanding in the computer. But just to make sure, I always check, and you should too. You should check just to make sure that your timing is actually what you're commanding in the computer. This is also Motion Raceworks' new, I might be able to pull this off, fuel pump mount kit that we're kind of working on with them. So on the balancer, what this is all for is to mount the mechanical fuel pump right on the front of the engine. So we will have a small front mount fuel cell that feeds the race pump and the race injectors. Wow. So this is the fuel pump. Big, beefy, bad mama jamma. Oh, of course I'm leaving out a piece. That piece slides on there. This piece goes on to here. And then all of this, I haven't verified this yet, but I'm about to. And obviously all this is loose right now, but I believe what they are working on here, yeah, just like that right there. So this big old fuel pump, and they've already machined this so that it these spacers are supposed to be cut down 250 thousandths because we're going to have a motor plate on the front. But it's nice to have kits like this coming out on the lawn dart that's in the shop. I built everything because I didn't know Motion was working on that. I'll show you what we did for the lawn dart. It's not quite finished, but I'm committed to it now. So if you can see, I made a plate that bolts to the factory block holes and then machined this tube here. It's not even a tube, it's a solid piece of rod. And then this piece will, so there's a tapered bolt coming through this plate this way that threads into this. And that's what locates that. And then this piece we haven't, that's the only thing we have left to do is take it back off. But we were trying to get our belt length figured out. You see it's this sticks a little further out than what it looks like the motion kit's going to do, which I didn't show you the piece. So Motion's got a piece that basically is like this, that's got this pulley slid right up in there. But my plan for this car is to bring the fuel filter up right here and then it'll feed this fuel rail, crossover in the back. We've already got the fuel cell worked out for this, and we'll do something similar on Mullet as soon as I get done putting the engine together. We'll drop the motor in, and then I've got to figure out where I can fit turbos, where I can fit fuel cell, all that fun stuff that comes with building a car. But that's what I do. But looking forward to showing you guys some real progress on Mullet coming up. I was talking with Cleetus this morning, getting a whole bunch of parts on the way, from oil pan, oil pump pickup, the fuel tank for the bed that's going to be the street tank, and just a whole lot of pieces to really start throwing this thing together. I got a call with Texas Speed on Monday to get, let's see, I need rocker arms and I need the rocker arm rails. And I think once we get all that stuff, we'll be able to bolt the motor together, put it in the car, and then it's time to start wiring and fabricating turbo system and all that fun stuff. All right, well, thanks for tuning into the channel. While you're here, please smash the subscribe button and then give us a like and a comment and let us know what you think about what we're doing. Should be bringing you a bunch more videos with Mullet and the build, and we hope to have this thing ready for the track by early January. We've got an event late in January that Cleetus wants to run. You know, a lot of the fabrication work is done on the car. You know, the cage is done, the rear suspension's in it. The front suspension I've just got to bolt on, and we'll be able to put the thing on the ground, drop it on the scales so I can play around with weight placement for different parts of the car, and we'll be ready to start showing some serious progress on this build. All right, everybody, well, that's all I've got for this video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.